and it's a total embarrassment. It's a slap in the face to veterans, to citizens of New York and this country who are really being cast aside to allow for asylum seekers to come here. At the end of the day, when it comes to this particular situation, you had combat veterans who are homeless, who were told to get out of their hotel after one day. Sharon and her team scrambled to find them locations, and right now what we've tried to do is let those veterans know we appreciate them. We're embarrassed by what's happened to them, but we have their backs.
Have those veterans' backs, especially since those damn migrants keep running people out of hotels. Can you believe they're doing this? What the F is Biden talking about? Again, think you guys will discover this is nonsense. But still, before we get to the nonsense of this entire story, let's go to more of the outrage from Fox News, because they were talking about this apparent plan to run veterans out of hotels. More.
Wow. And these are American citizens who have paid taxes, and even if they're not in a good place right now, will one day. We don't know that the people they're putting in their place will ever even become citizens or contributing members of our society. If you're gonna have to choose one desperate person over another, choose the ones who are already helping, who have served this country. It's not to say these migrants don't deserve any help as human beings, regardless if they've broken the law. It doesn't mean that they don't deserve food, room, and board, but this is a city of 8 million people. I think they can figure it out when that community is struggling to take care of 20 veterans.
And the point here, Guy, is that for some reason under this administration, it's an or. It's we care for the migrants or we care for homeless veterans, right? Instead of being put in a position, according to Mayorkas, again, he's been planning this for months. Why couldn't it be an and? Why then couldn't our policy and our resources reflect a commitment to and?
Yeah, and there were stories relatedly over the weekend about how there were multiple weddings of American citizens disrupted, where contracts were just breached. They said, sorry, your hotel guests can't stay here anymore. We're bringing in illegal immigrants.
Just if you even believe that, think of the way that they're talking. He said you could care for vets and the homeless. I got news for you guys. Conservatives don't care about the homeless. Conservatives don't care about the vets. Definitely when it comes to policies and things of assisting health care of vets, specifically mental health, because they think that's not real. So all these people that they're saying they're supportive of, including even police officers, by the way, if they're on the wrong side of your thought process, you definitely hate them too. Anyone who goes after Donald Trump for all his potential illegal activity. Oh, cut the budget of all police departments. Support the cops. It's whatever basis that argument they have at that particular moment. So now they love them some vets when they actually don't. That first guy in the first clip, Brian Maher, he's pointing out where this whole thing went off the rails. Because this story about displacing veterans in hotels is nonsense. According to Maher's account, he was taken for a ride. Sharon Toney-Finch, the CEO of the nonprofit that went in and made this whole fake story try to be real, is a respected person in the community with a track record of helping veterans, is what he said. At a Wingate Hotel in Fishkill, Maher spoke to 2 people claiming to be veterans who were displaced from the Crossroads Hotel in Newburgh, which has received 110 migrants sent by New York City. He spoke to a purported driver who transported the displaced vets. And he assembled care packages and solicited donations after the nonprofit asked for his help. Now, according to Toney-Finch, Sharon Toney-Finch, who's the CEO of this nonprofit that was setting this whole thing up, to her account, to the Post, 15 veterans had been evicted from the Crossroads Hotel and another 5 were forced out. Maher shared the names and phone numbers of the purported veterans and the driver with the Times Union. On Friday, one of the purported veterans told a reporter that he had been recruited to take part in a scheme designed to perpetuate Toney-Finch's story so that they could have this whole win about how these migrants are coming in and taking over for our beloved homeless veterans that we don't give a hot damn about. Because they're homeless veterans. What have we been advocating for? What kind of policies are put in place to make sure this doesn't happen for our heroes that have sacrificed their lives and their mental state for this country? Apparently nothing. By the way, it wasn't random people. There's layers to this, you guys. It wasn't just random folks that they went and recruited to play this fake story. It was homeless folks. 3 men currently staying in a homeless shelter in Poughkeepsie said that they were among a group of 15 recruited a few days ago to portray homeless veterans displaced from upstate hotels by incoming migrants. And in these interviews, the men said 2 people came to the shelter saying that they had work for 15 men between the ages of 40 and 60. They would be paid $100 for 2 or 3 hours of effort, and no heavy lifting would be involved. So they scammed them, said they should show up. You're not gonna have to do much. We'll pay you $100. Went to a homeless shelter to do so. So use these homeless folks to pose as migrants, kicking out homeless veterans from hotels, because we got to push this culture war somehow. The reality of the nonsense that we keep saying isn't there, so we got to create it, Burbank.
So Jayar, they told all of us, right, that veterans have been kicked out and been made homeless to make way for migrants. Then it's obvious that this was a ploy. Not only that, but paid folks to stage as homeless vets. This is like when we had the baby formula shortage and they took photos of pallets at the southern border and they said, oh my God, look at all this baby formula that the Dems are sending to migrants while our kids are starving. And it wasn't even baby formula in those pallets. All you had to do was zoom in on the photos. That didn't stop Fox News from broadcasting those photos on primetime to push that narrative. It's like Scooby-Doo, where they want migrants to be the boogeyman so bad that they make themselves look ridiculous every single time. And she says, why do we have to make a choice between caring for migrants or caring for vets? Who's forcing us to make that choice right now? Kevin McCarthy proposed a 22% cut to the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA. That was Kevin McCarthy. That was the Republican leader of the majority of the House. He is proposing cuts to veteran spending, not Democrats. So if you want us to care for both migrants and vets, I'm on board. But you know who's not? Kevin McCarthy, the leader of the Republican Party. It's really some Scooby-Doo stuff coming out of these folks.
From veterans to first responders to firefighters, you saw how much Jon Stewart was fighting against elected Republican officials that wanted to continue cutting funds or actually not giving anything that they already promised from monies that was supposed to be set aside for the way that they've given their lives to this country. But they still want to tell you that they support the troops and support the veterans because they need them for their political expediency and for political progress throughout the country. They're liars. They're going to work for Fox News right now.
Yeah.
There's one last layer. Graphic 7, you guys. That morning, after they then took these homeless folks back over to the shelter and they promised them this $100. Remember that part? That morning, they promised their $100 payments by the end of the day. But back at the shelter, one of the recruiters said that instead, their payment would be made on Friday in the amount of $200. Oh my God, it got doubled. One problem, you guys. This $200 never came. And the men that were posed to act like this were distraught and like, well, what happened to the cash that you promised? They're like, you think we're honest? We just told you we're effing liars. So of course we're gonna screw you over too. It's exactly what they did. Horrible human beings, you guys, horrible human beings. But they'll say that these dirty, drug addicted, homeless folks and migrants or anyone else that isn't like them are liars. They suck off the teat of our country and they destroy our society as they do things like this. So ask yourself why you're following the folks who openly point out how big of a liar they are and how they're trying to make you think the people you're supposed to hate are the ones that they're using.
Yeah, who are the real leeches? Probably McCarthy, who's getting a ton of money in lobbying funds from all of the military contractors in the country, probably all the people that are lining their pockets with the stocks that they invest in through insider trading in Congress and won't pass any bills to ban that. Those are the real leeches in our society. It's very clear.